Hi guys, thanks for joining us again for another episode of the Detour Podcast. I'm Dan Jones, joined as always by John Iffy Trevorrow. We don't need to do backgrounds for John. If you don't know who he is by now, then you haven't been listening to the show. We want to kick things off, obviously, by sending our thoughts and condolences to everyone connected with Richard Moore. We had him on the show for World Championship preview last year through Jamie and Bernard's connection at the Flandrian Hotel. Absolute legend of cycling, obviously former rider, journalist, podcaster, and from everyone that you talk to, just one of the nicest blokes in cycling. And it was a real shock given that he was only 49 years old. And, if it's just rocked the entire cycling community, mate.
Yeah, I just got a text from Phil Liggett because no one was really saying what actually happened, but it seems he just passed away in his sleep. He was over covering Wevelgem, and then the next night he's just passed away in his sleep. And as you say, Dan, an absolute sensational guy, one of the great voices of cycling. He's from Edinburgh. He had a very, really great accent to listen to. He just was a great podcaster. Started that cycling podcast, one of the first big cycling podcasts, which we're all doing now. We're all jumping on his coattails, but really nice guy. Wrote Com Games, I think in '90. I think down Kuala Lumpur. I think.
98,
yeah, and so seriously good bike rider. Written some fantastic books, and just a genuine guy in the game. It's 49. There's just too much of that going on right at the moment. Anyway.
As we said, thoughts to everyone connected. We've got a big show tonight. We've obviously got the Tour of Flanders on the weekend, but we thought, why not bring back a couple of hitters, a couple of great blokes, and a couple of blokes that, they're forever going to be connected to that famous Tour de France in 2013. And that is, of course, Daryl Impey and Simon Gerrans. Great to have you back, fellas. It's great to see you. And it feels like the Blues Brothers bringing the old band back together.
All right at home. I just feel good now.
Now, we'll start off with you, Daryl. You're a YouTube bloody sensation, mate.
You've got a storm at the moment.
You have.
I think I've hit about 2,000 subscribers now. So I've hit that milestone, that place where you really start to notch up the views and stuff. But nowhere near of your quality, Dan. And
hey, hang on, mate. Don't talk yourself down, mate. You've got little icons that flash up. They're subscribed now. You've got little arrows coming.
That's not me, mate. That's
who's doing that?
Oh, Sean, my mate. I'm not doing any of that. I told you, I'm talented, but I'm not that talented.
One thing you're always good at, Daryl, is delegating.
Exactly.
Yeah, your strength.
What about delegating that guy? That guy is just saying I'm a delegator. Yeah, right.
You're like me, Daryl. You delegate to a Dan Jones lookalike. That's what I do.
Exactly. He's actually exactly like Jonesy. So it's so easy to work with him. Actually, it's so simple. But I mean,
that's scary. There's two of them. Jeez.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. No, I've been really enjoying them, Daryl. You're quite creative, and you're getting a lot of good content out of your fellow riders, and that's the key, isn't it?
Yeah, that's challenging actually because I went to UAE and we had more time there and it was more fun. So then I could get more out of the guys. But really when you start coming to the bigger race like Tirreno and then Catalunya and then guys are talking about winning the GC and all these things, then you kind of I don't want to be that guy putting that camera in everyone's face. And I'm supposed to be also, trying to go for the win myself. So I don't want to be seen as the class clown and guy who does videos. But it's been quite hard to read the room. I kind of get where you come from, it was shocking. You were in the game and you were kind of gee, I don't know how to approach the guy now. But I'm not trying to approach anyone. I'm just trying to get a bit of the good stuff, really. Some of the funny stuff we do. But it's I've actually been quite enjoying it, really. It's there was a bit of a moment there this season where I was a bit it's a bit flat, and then just decided to start doing these things, and then. I thought, you know what? If it takes off, it takes off. If it doesn't, I'll just have memories of the last couple of years of my career, and that'll be cool.
Well, talking about media, Gary, you've obviously been doing the commentary for a number of years now, and you're teaming up with the SBS crew this year, commentating on a few races. You're going to be doing Flanders this weekend?
Yeah, calling Flanders this weekend. Yeah, that's right, Jones. I've been doing a few races of commentary here or there. it's by far, it's a long way off a full-time gig, but I enjoy sort of stepping back in and calling the races with whoever the lead commentator is at that time. So I've done a couple of races with SBS, which is pretty convenient being here in Melbourne now because the studio that we call from is just down the road. So yeah, did Ghent Wevelgem last weekend, Flanders this coming weekend.
Good stuff.
Now, you've just got back from a little stint over in Europe because you've still got your other little business over there. So just tell us about your impressions of the last couple of weeks over in Europe with how frenetic it is, Simon.
Yeah, I've had a couple of trips to Europe already this year. I had 2 weeks there in February and then another 2 weeks in March. And it's busy again. Europe feels like it's back to its bustling self. Pretty much all my flights were close to capacity. Airports were busy. For us, with the service course, businesses are really picking back up again. So people are traveling to ride their bikes and that sort of thing. And I think, Daryl vouched for it as well, that Girona seems to be back to where it was. So the whole world in Europe is just getting back to normal, really.
So the cafes are pumping, Daryl.
I don't go to cafes, mate. I don't have time for cafes. Between running my YouTube channel, training bikes, I've got no time to hit the cafes like
But seriously about that, though, you say that jokingly, but it must be a real concern with the whole pandemic because, COVID's still around and there's all these other things, these other bugs that are happening. You must have to be careful about where you go, Daryl.
Well, particularly like races, there's no time to enjoy a brew stop before the race because everybody's now in this bubble and we, focused on that. But, you also need to live. So, I do stop at the, coffee shop, whatever. I prefer to sit outside if I have the choice. But, I think a lot of us myself, I'm kind of just going, I've had coronavirus, need to move on, but also need to be careful. But you also get to a point where you just start going, well, you know what, let's just get on with it. Let's just move on with life. And eventually you can hide as much as you want away from this thing, but it's eventually going to get to you anyway. So, particularly now coming to the classics, these kinds of big races, you don't want to risk it. So try and stay away as much as I can. But, the kids are going to school. Everybody's got a different dynamic, but if you're going to get it, you're going to get it somehow. I think I've just kind of moved on from it.
Did you dodge the sick bug? Because obviously the last couple of races, most of the teams are finishing with bloody 2 or 3 riders.
Yeah, I dodged it. But, the guys in Tirreno kind of after Tirreno got sick and I was thinking, oh, geez, my turn is coming. But I dodged that one. And then Catalunya, we lost another... we've lost 4 guys in Catalonia, so we finished with 3. But it wasn't too bad because Lotto Soudal actually finished with 1. So actually, I was going to the start line then. I took my camera with me and I was like, I get there and there's one Lotto guy. So I said, oh, you waiting for your team? And he's like, man, I'm on my own here. So I thought, it couldn't be so, we were right. But I think the whole peloton kind of Paris-Nice or the end of Tirreno got something. I dodged it. But I remember doing Tirreno 2 or 3 years ago with Green Edge, and it was only myself, Meza, and Happy that walked away unscathed as well during the same time. So there's definitely something in the air, something going around here, but African.
Yeah. Oh, well, do you think also having kids, they get so many bugs, your immune system would probably
exactly. I've had 9 years of
the same.
I've had 9 years of picking up all the bad ones. So I've probably already had them.
Hey, we've got a live question for you, Daz. John wants to know, hey, Daryl, what are your thoughts and feelings about Binny's big win in Ghent Wevelgem?
Man, amazing. When people don't realize where everybody's particularly riders from Africa, how far they've come and the obstacles they have to overcome just to get to Europe, just a little thing like a visa. People think that's an easy thing, but for countries like Eritrea and that it's super difficult just to get onto European land. And then still to kind of, they change their whole lifestyle. You change everything. Like when I talked to Skabu from Ethiopia, he tells me a story about when he came to Europe, he never ate with a knife and fork before because they eat with their hands. So that's such a big culture change. And then you see him walk into the biggest races of the world again, Velvelgem thing, races that all the classics guys who do the classics talk about, like, oh, you need to know this corner, you need to know where you're going here. But then this guy just comes and he answers with the legs, He doesn't even need to. He kind of probably gets told, okay, being the front, that's important, but you still need to be able to learn that. But here he comes just with the legs and just puts the guys away. It's amazing. Like 20, he's 21 years old too. He doesn't even, you wouldn't even call him an experienced pro. It's fantastic for Africa as a whole. I think, we kind of always been seen as this continent where it's like, it's a poorer continent and things like that. But now you're seeing like everybody like that is coming from there that are racing Europe, they're overcoming all these obstacles. And then it's kind of like the new Colombia of cycling. I think it's kind of opened up Pandora's box. And, I was super impressed. I was super chuffed for him too. I don't know him at all, but just kind of, it felt like a win for Africa. It felt like so cool just to see someone win such a big race at such a high level and then just put the best riders away. It's amazing. Yeah,
it's a shame he's not riding Flanders because I think he would have gone really well. He was very good in Milan-San Remo as well. So he's obviously a huge talent.
Oh, huge. But he, what I really liked about him was when he won and they asked him this question, like, okay, do you want to do Flanders? And like, surely now his headspace, he's like talking like a grown man. He's just kind of like, no, I've been away for a while. I want to go home and see my family. So, I'll have a turn at Flanders later down the road. But he's not thinking, oh, my form's so good right now. I should actually, it was like, I was actually like, oh, this guy's actually got it right. He's probably got it right. His priorities are in line with what he wants to do. And he's won his race. And now he's kind of like, oh, I'll go box tick, go home, see the family and enjoy it with them.
Well, I remember, we were talking about on the last episode when Dan Tekla-Hymanot was with the team. You're talking about those passport problems. I remember going on flights with him and being in Italy, and he would be whisked off and interrogated for like an hour and a half. And he said, this happens every time I travel, like just because of his passport. Mm-hmm. And it's all those things you don't see behind the scenes, as you're saying, Daryl. Like, it's the insight that you don't know.
Yeah. I think Eritrea even has like a thing with the government. Like you need to get special permission from the government to actually get a visa to come to Europe. So it's not just like, cool, I'll go to the Spanish embassy and get a visa. It's like, I think it's a bit more in depth than what we actually know.
We've got another comment. Sally says, great to see Daryl and Simon. I've really enjoyed Simon in commentary on SBS. So you've won Sally over Gerro. That's a good start.
But actually, when you asked me to come on the show, you said Gerro was going to be on you. I thought, now I know why you want me on you, because you need some color, You need some
It actually happened the other way. I was talking with Dan. I said, well, Thursday's coming up. He's so busy these days, Dan, that he doesn't even think about the detour that much. So I said, what's going on Thursday? He said, I'll get on Daryl. I've been watching his show. It's fantastic. I'll get on to Daryl. And then about half an hour later, Simon, you rang me. You just got back from Europe. I hadn't answered all my calls while you're away, but you got back to me, which is really good. And I said, hey, we've got Daryl on tomorrow. Do you want to join us? So it happened the other way around, Daryl.
All right. Yeah.
Always following you, Daryl. Always following you.
We obviously talk about it a lot, the 2013 Tour de France, but you guys are going to be forever connected at the hip for that amazing gesture, the transfer of the yellow jersey and at the time. But given that it was 9 years ago almost now, I'll ask you, Gerro, like, how does it make you feel looking back now? Because at the time, people go, "Oh, this will probably never happen again." In modern day cycling, I think that's almost guaranteed. I can't really see that gesture happening again.
The way I look, I think at the time we were just sort of taking the race in our stride. We were just so in the moment and so focused on the job at hand. And obviously, we're riding such a massive wave at that point in time, getting the stage win down in Corsica, and then the team's time trial victory with everybody as well, and then sort of off the back of that, getting the yellow jersey. So we were just riding a massive high through that first sort of half of the Tour de France. And it was only after the tour that I probably really sat down and reflected what we achieved in that Tour de France. And that's when it probably all really sunk in, the sort of the size of what we're able to sort of accomplish. And looking back at it now, obviously I'm immensely proud of that point in my career and what Daryl and I were both able to achieve in that tour, that it absolutely feels like a lifetime ago. I know you said it was 9 years ago now, but after a couple of years out of the professional peloton, it just feels like it wasn't even me. It's sort of like, it feels like it was something I watched on TV.
And is that the same for you, Daryl?
Yeah, like, you know, my teammates asked me a while ago, like, oh, geez, what year were you in the yellow jersey? And I'm like, oh, like 9 years ago, 2013. And they're like, geez, you've been pro for a long time. And it actually is, you know, especially like the younger guys, like Cyrus Jones and that, they like kind of were like, oh, geez, where was I? Gee, I was in school, you know, like, so it is a long time ago. But yeah, I mean, it's definitely a memory that's going to be there forever. You know, it was the greatest achievement in my career. And it was just to, you know, with the whole team, with everybody to share, you know, the win on the team's time trial. That's like, there's like standout things in my career that like I look back and I go, this is like, you know, it's amazing to feel that. And only when you get back to the Tour de France, I always say, whenever you go back there and you get the chance to race at that level again, and you think, geez, I got on that stage then. I actually, well, you know, I wore the allergies, I won a stage, or we went up there with the team's time trial, and you think, I don't know when I'll be back there. Like, you never know. And so that's what makes it so amazing when you get these super highs, and then, you know, then you kind of get belted down pretty quickly at the Tour de France. But it just, yeah, I think when I look back at it, although it feels a lifetime ago, it's definitely like, whenever I bring up those memories again, I get excited and I get that feeling of like, it was amazing, you know?
I'm getting goosebumps while we're just talking about it, because I got to tell you, that's the highlight of my career too, because I was a bit crook at that tour, but I got there. And being a part of it with you guys, traveling with you, and it was just enormous. And it was the early days of the first Australian team, only the second year really for Green Edge, Orica Green Edge it was then. And now, when you look back, that's been the best thing that ever happened for that team. I mean, they've won the Vuelta, almost won the Giro, some great classics, but especially that first week of that tour is something. It was a Rocky type stuff. It was just amazing, from the bus crashing into the finish thing, then Gerrans, you winning on Corsica, the team time trial just staggering, and then the handover. All those things are, you know, just like a storybook, like a little mini movie, and they're just the most amazing couple of weeks of my life. Actually, they're just wonderful.
But Gerrans, do you find that the common thread with successful teams, and you look at that period, is when there's chemistry? You know, when you get a group of guys that the chemistry is so tight, and even outside of like the riders, like the staff, like everyone sort of bought into this culture of, you know, you took your job serious, but you also took having fun serious, and that enabled you not to sort of overstress at the biggest bike race in the world.
Yeah, and I think that was a really important element. We were great mates and we were having a good time, working really hard and racing our bikes. And I think we're just in that environment that it didn't matter who in the team we were supporting or was the leader on that day. Everyone was just more than happy to commit 100% to that. There was no egos in the team. It was all about, you know, that team success. And that's why I think, you know, on paper, when you look back at that Tour de France, we were far from the strongest team in the race, yet we managed to gel together to win the team's time trial. So it was a huge result. And then, you know, you're looking back on that tour, stage 2, I was leading at Daryl, and stage 3, he turned around and led at me, you know, and that's just how we went about it. And so that was what was really unique about that team. And I think that's why the team of that Orica Green Edge team was so successful.
Well, the thing is, Daryl, if you look at your role as a videographer now, it does make a difference. As you said, when you take the air out of the room, you are slowly bringing in a bit of this sort of green edge culture with some of these guys at these tense races. Are you really going to up the ante for this when it comes to things like the Tour de France?
At the Tour of France, I don't know if I'll have the energy to do these videos. It's the Wi-Fi is pretty shit there too.
Oh, don't get me started, mate. You're understanding all the issues I had now.
Exactly. Like as I've got into it, I've like understood these tasks, and I'd see you come to the bus and go, "Man, I spent the whole night last night checking if the video was uploading." Not that I'm doing that, but I mean, I can see all these things. But I definitely like we had a bit of a rough patch at the start of the year in the team, and I was like almost like. I don't know what it was inside me, but I was just like, geez, we need to bring like some good, like, in Afrikaans they say chutzpah, like just bring some good spirits, some good vibes to the team. And like then I started with these things and I found a few characters, and then actually now the guys are watching it afterwards, they think it's pretty like fun to watch, So I think it was like with you when you started, like only once guys started seeing themselves on the video and all these kinds of things, they started going, oh, that was pretty cool, like to see it, and then you get more people involved. But I just want to keep the vibe up, and it's been quite, especially when we're not getting results and things, it's been quite difficult. So I'm trying to bring a little bit of what I learned at Green Edge into Israel and try and see if we can change things around a bit.
A music video. You're going to do a music video, a Dan Jones one, eh?
I'm trying to do Instagram Reels, mate. I'm not trying to do a
video. TikTok.
Now, Gerro, Daryl says his greatest achievement in his career, or even at Greenwich, was the yellow jersey. I think he's overshadowing a big one, and that was when he managed to coerce the team for those training camps in South Africa. I would say he's up there with his greatest achievements. Would you agree?
For Daryl, yeah. For the rest of the team, probably not so. It's not spectacular. It's getting flagged completely different continent up on top of a hill in the middle of nowhere. But Daryl's in his element, that's for sure.
Oh, but they loved it. They got to see animals. We had a good car.
That was awesome.
That music video hit, eh?
Yeah. Uptown Funk.
Exactly.
We put Crystal Springs on the map. but no, the training camps in South Africa, Daryl. Like, I mean, the weather, it's pretty cheap. Some great scenery. Are you going to get Israel to head up to Crystal Springs as well? Because I know Froome, he used to get up there all the time.
I think at one stage they were contemplating doing it, but to be honest, our calendar is so busy on this team. Like we do a lot of races, a lot of smaller races, so we actually don't have a gap like we did with Greenwich. Greenwich kind of we used to have like that February month was pretty low key, and then we'd finish down under and then go across there. But now with all the racing here at Israel, there's actually no space in the calendar to chuck a full team into South Africa. Maybe we could get a small group. But, with all this pandemic and all this other nonsense that's been going around, it's been super hard just to do a training camp even in Europe. So no one wants to get stuck in South Africa. I can promise you that much.
Yeah.
I was going to ask you, Daryl, what's the vibe like at Israel Premier Tech, as it is called at the moment? Because I mean, it's just second year into the World Tour. The results haven't come through as you would have hoped, and you're under a bit of pressure. So, what's the vibe like in the team?
Look, I mean, last year the team actually didn't do too badly. We were still hit by quite a few injuries, but a few crashes and things like that of some of the key guys. So relatively last year, I think we finished 9th or so in the World Tour rankings that year. So we actually punched quite well above our weight, I'd say. This year, obviously, we're paying the price for when the team bought the license as a World Tour team the first year, and they were still kind of what you'd say they were pro Conti level. They didn't really have a lot of World Tour experience riders in the team, and the first year they struggled to get points. So now in the third year, when you actually to stay in the World Tour, now we've got 3. That's the 3 years of points added up together. So we really missed already 1 year, and we kind of were hoping to pick up that slack this year, and then we've had a bit of a bad start to the year, which has created a little bit of concern within the team, just about points and things like that. And, there's a few more teams now interested in making it into the World Tour. So, of course, we know we need to get results and we need to get the points. But, I think a lot of guys, we've had to kind of reset a little bit. And we had a big chat the other day with the team just to kind of calm everyone down again and just say, listen, guys, bike racing comes first, wins and that they bring points on their own. So let's not focus on the points. Let's focus on actually going to the race to try and win the bike races. So I think that's where we're at really at the moment is I think we were trying to chase a lot of points and that's been on our sole focus. And then we've kind of missed the really good part about racing a bike and going for it. But I think as a team, it's a different vibe compared to Green Edge because Green Edge was more, I mean, they're both English speaking teams, but you had this real Aussie culture in Green Edge that was there from the start. That's also changed over the years. That's also, once the team started becoming more GC orientated, it did change a bit, but there were still the core guys there. Whereas Israel is such a new team and kind of we've got guys from all over the show. It's not really like one set identity. That's been quite difficult, quite a challenge because like some things I think is funny and other guys are like, what's he up to? This guy's a bit weird, you know. Whereas Green Edge was like almost the thing, you know. It was like, and you had like Belgium. Yeah, no, like you had like Belgium. So you had like Kukele and these like guys from Belgium. They were just a bit of different humor, and then eventually it wasn't like they just had to fit in, you know. Whereas here it's kind of like everyone's trying to know what we're fitting into because we still don't have that like niche culture yet. But I think we're getting there.
Well, there is a Gerrans connection to your team, and that is Andrew Gerrans came over to join the crew for this season. How's he slotted in?
We got the better one.
Ooh, geez, shots fired.
Whack.
Shots fired.
Why you got so few people finishing your races? He's running
Ooh, whack.
Whack.
Oh, shame Andy's not going to defend himself, eh?
Yeah.
Well, you have got a bit of an Aussie connection. I mean, you've got young Seb Berwick, young Taz Jones, and of course Simon Clark, who came over, got in at the last minute, has been going great guns. So a bit of an Aussie feel there, mate.
Yeah, like you know, we've actually the team this year is like when we went to training camp at the start of the year, we had great vibe. Like I think if it wasn't this points debacle, we'd be all okay. You know, I think just a bit of stress from the rider side, really. You know, kind of just wanting to get into that zone of like, you know, we don't want to be in that team that's on the cusp of getting relegated. But yeah, I think we got a heap of you know, it's actually quite weird because when you change teams, you think like you always have this perception of other riders on other teams, and you've just seen them at the food hall and at breakfast or something. You know, he's a bit of a weird guy or whatever. But then actually when you're in the team and you meet these guys, you just realize like, well, he's a little bit different, not the same, but there's something else I like about him. There's actually, he's got good, you know, and you realize that most of the guys in the pro peloton are actually, you know, all decent people, you know, not everybody, of course, but I mean, you realize that actually in every team, it's pretty much run the same. There might be a few things that are run differently. You know, some teams put more emphasis on structure, some teams put more emphasis on family time, but you know, ultimately the way a team is run is pretty much the same thing. You just got to find where you fit into the new team, you know, and who you have to impress. And yeah, that was quite different for me. It's that kind of, it was a clean slate, and it was more like I've got to like impress everybody again, which was quite cool.
I would have been a terrible cyclist because if I was on a good contract and I was
We
on a
know
team that, yeah, I know, and I'll put my hand up, but my mentality just would have been rotten because if I was on a team that looked like they were going to get relegated, come June, I'd be saying to my manager, mate, let's go find one of the big boys and just take a bit of a slice, get back to the tour. Jonesy leads out the sprints. I'll be fine.
Now, the other thing, of course, is the biggest name on your team, Chris Froome. How's he going? I mean, it's something we're all riveted on, interested in. It's been such a superstar, and the challenges he's had have been quite horrendous. And so, how is he going right now?
I think I think he's still really climbing the way up to top form. He started the year with a bit of an injury, and then he's only done copy Bartley, so he hasn't done much racing at all. So I mean, it was his first race. He said he struggled a bit through it. I think he's been quite amazed about how much the levels picked up in the last 2 or 3 years. You know, kind of he's also had the armchair ride of Sky and Ineos, where he used to just sit in the front all day and not have to do a sprint out of every corner. And, changing teams to a team like Israel or any other team for that matter is that, we were fighting for position behind. And I don't think he was used to that fight for position last year. That was a big change for him. But, mentally, he wants to take it head on. Mentally, he's still training hard, still working hard, still focused on trying to, get back to his best. But yeah, I think by his own admission, he knows he's nowhere where he should be at this point. But I don't think it's from lack of trying. I think it's just, it's just a slow, hard process, and it's just a long process for him. But yeah, I'm hoping for him that things can turn around. And, maybe it's just a confidence thing that like he needs to do 1 or 2 races where he feels good again and he's actually at that level. And maybe that's the thing that will change things. But it must be super difficult for a guy who's been at his level. You go to race like Copy Bartley compared to the Tour de France. I mean, and you're saying that's hard. That's already you can sense like it must be hard for him to deal with that. I'm sure it can't be easy for any of these top guys to have such a massive injury and then still like want to come back and compete at that level that you were previously at. Must be super hard. I mean, if you're 1 or 2% off now in the races, you dropped. You're not like, you might not even make Gruppetto. That's how competitive it is these days.
What was amazing is on the cycling tip show they do Wenger with Matty Keenan and Nettie Edmondson and Mitch Docker, they talked about Froome. And Mitch was saying, I'm worried about his legacy, and Ash Barty's just retired on top of a game. Should Froome look at retirement and all this sort of stuff? And he actually commented on the video, and he said, if I had that mentality, I never would have won a Tour de France. I don't just walk away from challenges. Yeah. So yeah, I'm going to stick with it, and I'm just going to give it everything I've got. And I thought, geez, chapeau. Like, that's such a good insight, because some people are wired differently. Like, some people, if it did get hard, they just go. And again, if I was a cyclist, I would have probably walked away because I don't have the mental toughness. But everyone's made a different stuff. And I think, good on him for hanging in there and having a crack. And he may never get back to that top level, but he's going to find out,
Sorry, mate. Go, Daryl.
Even a lot of people, when we were racing 2008, 2009 in Bollywood, we were like, who's this? Like, then he was still Kenyan. And they were like,
I got a photo of that, I think.
Who's this Kenyan, like he knows nothing about cycling, like he was all like inexperienced, and nobody would have thought back then like, Chris Froome's going to go and win the Tour de France 4 times and win the Vuelta and become this world's best cyclist. So and he believed in himself then. He at that point was like, I'll show you guys. So maybe this is one of these moments again where he's just like, yeah, everyone's laughing at me now, but I'm just going to carry on doing what I need to do, and when I get back there, then I'll, all the doubters, I'll show them. If there's one guy who can do it, it's him. Like I say, the mental toughness of this guy above anybody else, I haven't really seen it from other athletes. Yeah.
But Gary,
that was the question I was going to ask, Gary, because exactly that mental toughness. You started out coming into cycling through a terrible injury from a motorbike crash. And even when you actually got to the stage of making it to Europe, and you did it the hardest possible way, you didn't get through, the Australian Institute and all that. You were over there racing for amateur type teams, semi-pro teams, and all around the place, Norway, whatever. Even when you were racing in the Grand Tours, you still had some injuries to overcome from that original accident. So I can't think of anyone better to comment on Froome's situation than you.
Well, as far as overcoming injuries, but I think what's really hard for Froome is he's set such a high level, and he's always going to be compared to that. No matter, if he came back and was racing at a higher level that he's ever raced before, but he doesn't win, he's always going to be compared to that winning level, which would be extremely tough for him. I was coming from a very different scenario, coming through the ranks and always carrying injuries and sort of having chronic sort of problems from the motorbike crashing, because while I was improving, everything was a bonus. And every race you turn up to and you do a better result than last time, you perform a higher level, everyone's really happy. Once you kind of hit that peak and you start to come down again and you're getting compared to your former level, it does become really mentally taxing. So I think as long as Froome still has the ability just to drown out all that noise and focus on what he's doing and chase his goals, I think he'll be fine. And I expect to see him around and in the peloton for a number of years yet.
Do you think, Gerro, that there's something in the sort of 1 to 2% that you can't actually put a finger on? Because a lot of riders, they train, they do a lot of things the right way or whatever. But what is it that separates the top guys from the guys that are still doing all the same things? Does it all come down to that sort of mental approach?
Oh yeah, well, a mental approach is obviously a massive part of it, but physiology is a big part of it too. I think even more so these days than ever before, and it feels like racing has become less tactical and more physiological than it's ever been. So the mental toughness and the ability to suffer and keep fronting up day in, day out is one of the most vital parts of it, and it's just that consistency that really counts. You always come across guys, and I think, Daryl bashed this as well, over the course of a career, and you go, this guy's an incredibly talented cyclist, but they only have the ability to focus for a short amount of time. Whereas the champions, they can focus day in, day out for season upon season, and that's why they race at a high level for so long.
All right, we're going to take a quick break. When we come back, more of Imps and Gerro on the Detour.
Look at this bike. You think it's just a bike, right? But it's not. It's a bike. 374 people are looking at. This guy, this girl, them, all looking at it. People from here, there, and wherever this is. People that are looking for a bike. Or just a piece of it. Amateurs, semi-amateurs, and pro-amateurs. This guy wants this bike, but with this crank and these bars. This could be the perfect match, but not this one. This girl has a bike to sell, and thousands of people might purchase it. Eyes on Bikes help grow small businesses. His, hers, yours, and the latest data and insights help those businesses keep moving. We are the world's #1 bike marketplace, with over 500,000 products and 900 brands, where buyers and sellers are brought together in a place where a bike is never just a bike. Bike Exchange, where the world buys, sells, learns, and rides.
Are you dreaming of the ultimate cycling holiday? Mumu Cycling is the best in the business. Official tour operators for all Grand Tours and monuments, you will ride the best climbs, enjoy VIP access and race viewing, all hosted by some of the world's best pros, including 17-time Tour de France rider and Paris-Roubaix champion Stuart O'Grady. Start planning your ultimate holiday at www.mumucycling.com.
Thanks again to Bike Exchange and Mumu Cycling. Iffy, how are we going with the tickets for Mumu?
Yeah, Mumu are going well. They're over there at the moment, of course, with the with Stewie and the gang at the Classics. So they'll be all having a ball. Evidently, a couple of spots still for the last week of the Giro, and still some spots for the Tour de France. So jump on to mumucycling.com and check it out.
Now, just a random photo. I was trying to look for a classic snap of Daryl, and one of my favourites is when you won the Tour of Alberta, Dazzler, and they gave you that cowboy hat. But I actually found that this photo, if you get on Wikipedia and you type in Podium Girls, this is it. This is the photo that represents it. So that's a bloody feather in your cap, mate.
Think of the past.
Yeah, that's it, the good old days. The good old days.
That's it. That's it. Now, we've obviously got, Tour of Flanders coming up. Gerro, you would have done mountains of research for your commentary on the weekend, and a few people that like a bit of a dabble on the punt watch this show. Who's your red hot tip for Flanders on the weekend?
Yeah, I start my research on Saturday, mate.
Smart.
I've been researching for 20 years, and I just fine-tuned it all the day before.
That's it.
But it's coming up. It's shaping up to be a really exciting Flanders, and I think there's so many contenders that are really coming into form at an opportune time. The fact that Mathieu van der Poel had a win yesterday, It's only second race day on the road for this season behind Milan San Remo, where he was on the podium. So he looks like he's got it just right. Obviously, Wout van Aert has dominated so far this year, not only individually but with his team as well. So I think on paper he's going to have the strongest team in the race. And the fact that Quick-Step Alpha Vinyl have been getting a bit of a belting by their standards in the Flemish races so far this year, I think they're going to really come out with a point to prove too.
Now, Daryl, I remember when you rode your first Flanders and the conversation Matty Wilson had with you, I think early in the year, he goes, mate, you are primed to ride Flanders. And you're like, I don't want to ride Flanders. And then he talked you into it. And then you got yourself into the break and you had the helmet, the flat helmet with the cap on underneath. And you changed cycling fashion forever after that.
Well, it was meant to rain, so like I thought I'll wear the cap underneath my helmet, and then it never rained, and then I got in the breakaway, and it was like just the peak was just like covering my vision. So then I thought I'll just flip it up, and then with the aero helmet, so you're wearing an aero helmet, and then with the cap flipped up. It's not the best combination. But I'll tell you what I did. I only did Flanders that year because that guy sitting there, Simon Gerrans, he was supposed to do it, and we were supposed to go on as this team, and I was going there to support him, and then he pulled the of Flanders, and also I did recon and all these things, and it was like Simon is actually going to have a target of doing those races, and then all of a sudden he said, "No, mate, I'm preparing for the other classics now." So I was like, "Oh well, now I don't have the luxury to say to the team, listen, guys, I'm just gonna think of
I remember that exactly, Daryl. It was the start of the 2014 season. Whitey's come up with this harebrained scheme. It's like, I think you should be focusing on the Flemish Classics and do Flanders. So we arrived, we've done the Australian summer races, which went really well. We turned up in Europe, and after being in Europe for about a week, they organised the Flanders Recon. So a group of us flew up there. It was sort of generally the Flanders team. I think it was myself, and I'm not sure if you were there as well, Daryl, but we basically went and rode a Tour of Flanders Recon. And it was about 2 degrees and raining sideways. And I've got around this recon, I think still with jet lag, I was a little bit sick, and I got to the end of it, and I've said to Lepage, this is not a race for me, mate. I'm out. And I basically parachuted out at that point in time, a month or two before the Flemish Classics even started.
So you would have been pissed off when Garrow won Liège that year because you're like, bastard, he was right.
Well, I was there for Liège, so I was happy to be there. Sweet.
All's well that
great job. Did a big job too. I remember
all of these big wins, so that was cool. I mean, that was yeah. But the Flanders that year, I remember when that team said to me, "No, we're saving you," whatever. And when I got the chance to get in that breakaway, I did, because I thought I'm in the safest place of the race right now. If I'm here, and it was a great breakaway. I mean, we had a good group. But all I could think about when I was in that front group was how safe I actually am compared to the guys back there. I'm happy to be here. Yeah.
But I remember the footage that blew me away was the sign on. I think that was when we put some cameras on the helmets or whatever, but that absolutely floored me in terms of, that is their Super Bowl in Belgium. And just the atmosphere that you get pre-start, is that unlike any race in the world, Imps?
Yeah, you get it at the Tour de France as well, but definitely the Flanders is huge. I mean, you're in that square there and all those kinds of things. But it's definitely the thing with the big classics is that you feel that hype. You feel that like, oh, this is a massive day. This is you're going there to the sign in, and you kind of like you feel like all the people around you and a couple of people might shout your name or whatever. But then you get on the stage and you're like, wow, this is it. This is the big day. Like this is the moment. And but could you imagine riding in, winning the race, and you got the day? That must be even better. And you come back the next year, and then you come as a previous winner. That must be special.
We've got a couple more comments. Simon. Simon Knowlesy, he says, was wondering Gerro still has contact with Aussie cycling icon Phil Anderson. Phil was my childhood idol.
Yeah, I still run into Phil every now and then. We don't keep in sort of regular contact, but we've done a couple of rides together over the past 18 months or so since I've been back in Australia, and he's fit as ever. And I think I'd probably safely say there's not too many people around that would have ridden more kilometres than Phil Anderson over the past 60-odd years.
Oh, loves it. We've got another
beaten
one.
Beaten a photo finish twice in Tour of Flanders. So there you go.
Someone wants to know, will Cal O'Brien and Grace Brown making an Aussie double win at Flanders, Iffy?
Well, I'll tell you what, Cal O'Brien was impressive yesterday in Tours of Flanders. He in the break all day. They get caught. He stayed with the big moves in the last part and finished 7th. Very, very impressive ride.
Now we've got another one from regular Tom Maloney. He says, I'm happy to be able to watch you guys as I crashed a gravel race last Saturday on a bush track near Layla. Broke left leg near hip in Ballarat, but he's on the mend with a metal rod in his leg. So heal up, Tom. And then we've had a lot of comments about Richard Moore. Brendan Marshall says, if he late again, I think that was at the start of the show. Vale, fellow podcast legend, the Buffalo, Richard Moore. And then Ben Jensen says, was nice to bump into John about a week ago. Hope the cycling trip went well.
Yes, well, it did. Yeah, we were. We had them 3 days up at the Gambie with the Green Edge senior team, as we call it.
Dad's Army
buddies. Dad's Army. We had a ball actually. Yeah, fantastic.
Yeah. Now, Ims, what's your schedule looking like for the rest of the season, mate?
I'm going to Amstel. That's the next race next Sunday, and then do Brabant's Pale, and then after that I'll be doing Flesh and then Liège, and then having a small break. And then it's going to be like, it should be in the Tour de France, but we don't know. I think at the start of the year, team was kind of like, we'll see where you're at after your injury. And, I don't know if I've done enough to kind of cement my spot, and probably not yet. So kind of need to build up now to, Dauphiné and things like that. But yeah, just keep working hard, man. Just keep working hard and hopefully do the Tour de France. And then we'll see after that, whatever legs we've got for the rest of the season will be determined by how.
Who is your main guy for the Tour de France? I mean, Woodsy, if he's in form, is capable of getting on the podium. So is he getting back to that sort of form? Because he had a couple of little challenges earlier this year too.
Yeah, I think, he got coronavirus earlier in the season and things like that. So he's a little bit behind where he wanted to be. But I think Woodsy would definitely going to the Tour. I don't know if it's fully to ride GC. I think he'll be going there for target stage wins. The GC now is so difficult to be up there now with the likes of Pogacar and people like that can time trial really well. The time trial is really Woodsy's Achilles heel. He can climb with the best, but it does hamper him a bit. But then also, I think over the years we've I think a lot of teams have kind of come to this this realization that what's 5th or 8th in the Tour de France in general classification, which is great for the rider, right? Don't get me wrong. Top 10 in the Tour de France is massive. But then is a stage win better than that for the team and then also for the rider? Yeah. And can Woodsy, can a guy like him win 1 or 2 stages in the mountains? Yes, he can. Is he one of the favorites to do that? Yes, he can. So tactically it might be a better option to actually make him lose time and let him have the freedom to go in those long breakaways and go for a stage win. Israel's never won a stage in the Tour de France, so I think that'd be fantastic. But I don't think we have one clear leader in the team at the moment. We've still got to see how Fool's Long goes, and we've got a few new guys in the team, and then also the combination of can everybody work together as a team, or we have a great team that will be successful together. And it's like we spoke about earlier. It's about getting that culture together that. We might have all the names in the team and we might have Chris Froome and we might have this guy and that guy, but ultimately we want to get to the Tour de France, I think, with a team that's got one ambition and a clear goal. So hopefully I fit into those plans, and then I think we'll see how we go. But definitely it's still a load of racing coming up, and lots of people there's lots of things that can change during the year.
Yeah. Gerard, do you think that there's Ims mentioned it a bit earlier with the points situation and potential, relegation if you're in the bottom end. But do you think the back end of the season is going to be a mad scramble for a lot of these teams going, holy shit, we need to get some points or that's it, we're in Barney rubble?
To be totally honest with you, Dan, I don't know how the new point system works. But, there is always a scramble. And I think there's just like a pressure cooker that builds throughout the year for the team that are chasing points. And the ones that get it right tend not to focus too much on the points. They focus on the process and preparing as best they can for the races. And then, like I think Daryl said a bit earlier as well, the results take care of themselves. If you get everything right in the lead up to the race, you really don't have any control over the form of your rivals. So if you just focus on, doing the best preparation you can and being the best you can be, then, these guys are all champions and they'll come up in good form.
Well, I think I read an article at the start of the year. There was about 6 teams that were sort of all around the mark that were in the sort of bottom echelon. I think it's the top 18, isn't it? Iffy, that get through to the World Tour, and then the bottom, I think it was 5 or 6 were sort of around the mark. But
4, yeah.
It's a fluff question, let's be honest.
Well, it used to also be like back in the day, like, a few years ago, you could actually buy riders with points. So actually the riders held the value. So if your rider had 800 points, 1,000 points, basically a team could be close to relegation and a team would just go, okay, I want so-and-so, bang, and buy it. And they would have enough points to carry them through. Whereas now that's all changed. It's actually, you need to be on that team to earn those points.
Yes.
So
which is a good system.
So like anyone, you can't buy like Alejandro Valverde next year and just say, oh, cool, I'll buy him for his points. It just won't happen. So...
now, Will Wizard, he's trying to poke the bear. He goes, ask the hard questions. Dan, ask Daryl about his crash with Rob Stannard.
Oh, geez, that's a great question. Thanks for that one.
Good on you, Will Wizard. But no, it was a serious crash. We haven't caught up with you on the potty since then, but
Look, I'll say it outright. Then I'll say the part to play, and I'm not taking that I didn't have responsibility in the crash. For sure, I deviated off my line slightly. I think it was just a combination of things going, 2 things going wrong at the same time. I deviated. Rob had his head down. There was space to pass, but ultimately I paid the big price for it. With a broken hip and a broken collarbone. So, and losing out on the tour and everything else. So, sure, I also take responsibility for it, and that's all I really have to say about it. It was a tough crash, and
that's bikes, as they say in the classics.
Sometimes it's also when you're in that moment of sprinting. I had Ethan on my right, and we were, you're going for it, and sometimes you just do gravitate a little bit to one side. If you hear something coming, you just kind of, I don't know how to explain it, but it wasn't a malicious or anything on purpose, but it's.
You're too nice a bloke, Daz.
It's not in your nature.
I'll tell you what, I didn't appreciate stuff over the finish line. That I didn't appreciate. But anyway, that's another topic.
Yeah. But I've never broken a bone in my body, mate. I think, breaking a hip as a cyclist is right up there in the sort of serious category. How was the recovery from that? Like, how long were you literally off the bike and you couldn't do anything?
Well, I was off the bike for, I think it was about 6 or 8 weeks. And I was in a wheelchair to start because I had broken the collarbone and obviously the pelvis. Then I couldn't crutch. So I had to be in the wheelchair just to get around, shower in the chair in the shower and all these kinds of things. So, that was tough, kind of had to learn to kind of walk again and things like that afterwards, after being able to crutch. And so it was a long process. I did get back to racing at the end of the season, but it was, it was more about just getting back for myself mentally, just to go, okay, I actually did something, I accomplished something. I had a goal just to race at the end of the year, just to kind of pin a number on and get like, okay, I know where I need to work from. But it was still, even coming into the start of the season, I was really like shaken up, first race in France. There's just like a few sketchy roads and things like that. And I wasn't ready for it yet. But now that I've been racing comfortably for a while, getting back into the swing of things. But even in Catalonia, there was a few opportunities in this finals, and I just missed something. Like I was kind of hesitating, kind of braking too soon. So I think it's still taking time just to get myself in that death zone. But yeah, it's part of bike racing, it's not something I'm not used to. I've had a few setbacks, few broken bones before. So definitely was the hardest one and the longest one. But, it's also come at a time in my career where it's, I'm not 25 anymore. So it wasn't as easy to recover from. Yeah, sure.
All right. Anything you want to wrap things up with, Johnny?
Well, just Paddy Bevan. How's he going? I'm a big fan of Paddy Bevan. I reckon he's one of the toughest nuts. A great bike rider. Well, how's his form at the moment?
Well, I'm not too sure. He hasn't raced for a while because I think he broke his hand or his wrist at the start of the year. So I don't been at the races yet, and he lives in Andorra, so I haven't actually had a chance to actually see him on the road at all. But he's got great potential for sure. He'll be back. He'll probably come and do the Giro, or that'll probably like Romandy Giro or something like that. But he will be back soon, I'm sure.
Yeah. Anything for Simon, Jonathan?
Gerro, yes, now that you're back in the real world, it's just that I'm going to look forward to you commentating at the Giro. So I'm going to be over at the Giro, and I've been talking to Catherine, so I'm going to be travelling with the team. So any questions you have for any of the guys on the team, I'm the man. Just give me a text and I'll get all the inside info for you, mate.
Appreciate that, Iffy. Thank you.
And the Wheel Wizard, he says, thanks, Dan and Daryl. Didn't realise you broke your hip. Good luck for the rest of the season. So good on you, Wheel Wizard. Well, no, it's been an absolute pleasure having you guys on the show. It's always great to catch up again. And make sure, if you're watching Daryl Impey YouTube, you got to check it out because he's got plenty of zingers planned for the rest of the year. Great insights to the team. And, I think
who's leading the subscriber race here, guys?
Oh, Daryl's smashing us. I don't know. We don't check that stuff, Daryl.
It's about numbers. Well, I'm learning these things. Is it about like unique viewers or returning viewers? It's like all these things. It's like,
yeah. Are you sure you haven't delegated to a guy to boost the posts? So those sort of fake views that you get to sort of bump the numbers.
No, but I heard that doesn't do well for you.
You can buy them. Twitter followers.
It doesn't help the algorithm.
That's right. That's right.
All these things, I've got it's a whole different world. This stuff.
That's right.
I heard with the podcast, with the YouTube, with all the different things, I heard we're up around 4,000. But who would know?
Now, Tom says, thanks for the recovery inspiration, Daryl. I'm not 25 either, but I'll set myself a 6 weeks marker. So there you go.
Now, I wanted to wish Tommy Maloney all the best. I raced over in Europe with Tommy. He was a legend, actually, a very, very tough bike rider. Probably the best bike rider not to get picked to go away in the games back in my day because he was on the verge always. A couple of years older than me, travelled around Europe with me as an amateur. A sensational bloke. So, Tommy, get well soon, bud.
And before we let you go, guys, Gerro, service course. If people wanting to travel over, we're obviously talking about Moo Cycling for the races, but if they want to come over to Girona and have a spin with some big names and get amongst it, what do they got to do?
Yeah, jump on the service course website, which is theservicecourse.cc. We have trips on Daryl's home roads in Girona. We have a location in Nice now, so we do some rides around the Nice area, and Oslo and up in the Peaks District as well, in Wilmslow. So a couple of different places to come and ride your bike with us.
Perfect, mate. We'll check out the service course website. Thanks for joining us, guys, and also to get our organic subscribers up, youtube.com/Detour Podcast. We don't pay for them here, mate. But it's been bloody great having you guys on the show. All the best for the rest of the season, Daryl, and look forward to your commentary on the weekend, Gerro.
And go Grace Brown in Flanders. I didn't answer that one before. I think she'll give it a bit of a shake.
All right. Yeah. We'll be back again early next week. I think we've got Scotty Sutherland, don't we, Iffy?
Yes, we got him on Monday to do a wrap of Flanders, and I'm looking forward to it. It should be an absolutely amazing race. It always is, but I think it's shaping up to be a ripper.
All right, thanks for tuning in, guys. We'll see you soon. Thanks, Daz. Thanks, Tim. See you guys.
Thanks, guys. Great to see you, Daryl.
Bye.
This is the winning ride of the Tour de France.